Hey everybody, this is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers Team, and I'm here with a very special guest, my good friend Sharat Chander. Sharat is the Senior Director for Developer Relations in the Java Engineering Organization, and we're going to talk Java today. Sharat, what's going on, man?
Oh, well, first off, Jim, thank you for having me. It's good to connect with you, even in this new online world we're living in.
We are all stuck behind screens. It's been
We
about
are.
six. It's been about 5 months now. So actually, the last time we met, we were in this idyllic place. We were in Hawaii, for goodness sakes. We were at Unvoxed Hawaii,
Oh my goodness,
community
what
event.
a
That
hardship.
was the last time we met. Physically anyway. Which sort of this is why I wanted to get together. Basically, is because I've been sort of doing a round table. Having some quick conversations with some of the projects that I've been interacting with in the last couple of years. And so I wanted to hook up with you because you guys a couple of weeks ago launched this huge new initiative, the Java 25th anniversary. And I was, I attended it, and it was really good. And I saw this video with a bunch of, well, actually a bunch. It was a huge amount of community people talking about how they're moved by Java over the years. So let's start there. What's up with the anniversary? It's been 25 years, and actually, you and I met about 20 years ago, actually, right? At Sun.
We did. It's an amazing journey that both of us have had. I count my blessings every day that there's some people in your career that have just stayed there and continued on that you can lean and rely on, and you're one of those trusted colleagues. And yes, almost 20 years ago we met. Already Java had been in this amazing world of ours for almost 5 or 6 years, and yeah, we had this celebration for 25 years of innovation. I still to this day sort of pinch myself and can't fathom that 25 years have gone by so quickly. And in that time, Java continues to stay relevant and functional and innovative. And this was a great moment in time to celebrate not just 25 years of history and memories, but also reflect on all of the innovation that's happened and all of the opportunity that's still in front of us for hopefully 25 years, if not longer. And yes, that event, celebration event that we held specifically on May 20th was that opportunity. We had a chance to bring faces from the ecosystem, from the community, from users, from companies that have all been, as you said, moved by Java. And that is the foundation of our 25th celebration campaign, known as Moved by Java. So we know Java moves us in many ways. It moves companies towards greater innovation opportunities. It moves commerce, both digitally and physically around the world. But Java also moves us emotionally. And it
Yeah.
became very obvious that Moved by Java was just the right way to shape and frame this celebration. And for sure, this celebration just is not one moment in time. Even though we had a kickoff on the 20th, and there's a replay video out there somewhere. If you follow at Java on Twitter, you'll be able to find it. But there's still more to come. There's still more to show. There's still more to talk about. And it's humbling just to understand and appreciate the opportunity in front of us.
Yeah, it is interesting to experience this because we were at Sun for a long time, and we were actually, still obviously at Oracle. But my first Java 1 was the strangest experience because I had just joined Sun like a few months earlier. And I remember going to the conference and, up in San Francisco. Actually, back then it was called Java 1, right?
Right?
And um, so I got the wrong badge or something, because I was new, and I had to wait in line, for the keynotes, and even though I was actually working that day, but the line wrapped all the way around Moscone, and I said, "What is this? Some like Deadhead concert?" And it's like, "What's going on here?" Because we're in San Francisco, right?
Right.
And I had come from a much smaller company. Sun was a monster to me, just huge, and that was the first day I met Gosling as well. It was that day. And he was just standing off in the corner outside the press room. And I said, that's him. That's what all this is about, right? So I just walked up and said hello and just started talking to him. And he was the nicest guy around. And I noticed a lot of people. That was my first impression of Java, was that day. I noticed a lot of people were really into this, and I noticed this. It definitely moved me, all those years ago. And it continues now, because when I was watching that video, there were people getting very, very emotional as they were describing all their experiences. So one of the questions I had for you is, you had to sort of field all these videos that were coming in to because you guys had to basically essentially put out a call for those videos as it came in. What was it like when you were sort of like reviewing them and editing them down?
So it was definitely a team effort across the board. Many hands were involved in making that outreach to the community, reviewing and listening and watching all of these personal stories, and the editing, the refinement, the final product. It is what it is. It is amazing. I absolutely love it. It's one of those treasured programs or experiences that I've come to appreciate. But when you looked at all of the videos that were captured from individuals, you got a sense of just how important Java was or still currently is in their life, both personally and professionally. Some of these stories that we heard, talked about how Java has literally, birthed a career for some people, or moved people to new parts of worlds that would never have been possible had they not learned Java, or have, shifted their business models in directions never appreciated or thought of. And it's a testament to the technology, the language, and the platform that still allows to do that. And, you mentioned James Gosling. We all refer to him as the father of Java. I still believe he's one of the most approachable human beings on the planet. But whenever I've had the chance to speak with him or interact, his mantra has always been, we do this together.
Right. Yeah.
That might not be the exact words, but for sure, that is the emotion he conveys, that the success of Java comes from all of us.
Yeah, it's the community. He's always been upfront about that.
Right. So we definitely have leadership in terms of the engineering that happens, whether it was at Sun or at Oracle. The stewardship continues forward, but we know the life, the DNA, the ethos of Java comes from all of us. We all have a chance to contribute in our own ways, whether it's teaching others our skills, whether that's collaborating and sharing ideas in terms of use cases or best practices, or for that matter, actually getting involved in the project itself. And that's what I'm so encouraged about, especially with how we've modernized our approach for releasing Java.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And one of the changes or enhancements that is so important that so few people still know about is that we make early access builds available. And some will say, well, why is early access important? And to me, it gives you as a developer, your organization, a chance to do testing in advance, so far in advance that when the final release is available, it will just work in your enterprise. But more importantly, it gives you a chance to give feedback. Like we keep talking about participation, like community, I think is amazing. It's important that we connect and communicate, collaborate, and share ideas. But part of that journey is also giving information back in terms of what you believe is working or is not working. And I think the early access program around Java is one of the best ways to actually participate with such minimal heavy lifting on the part of the end user.
That's an interesting point you bring up, because I remember on the Open Solaris project, we gave obviously early access builds too, and it always surprised me. Well, I guess it shouldn't now, but it did then, just where those builds actually were going. Every enterprise was downloading those builds immediately.
That's right.
Because they had testing farms, they were doing testing. Then they wanted to know what was coming up. And the amount of help we got from those builds was just absolutely tremendous. One of the things I noticed,
Especially in this day, if you think
yeah,
about modern application development, you have continuous build, CI, CD integration. It's just easy to pick up these early access builds and see what happens.
yeah,
And being able to give feedback on what happens is your opportunity to literally help shape the direction of Java. We value that feedback.
yeah. You mentioned the new cadence, the new release cycle, which is really a new, speeded up development methodology. When I was in Stockholm earlier in the year what was that? What was in Stockholm?
JFocus?
It was JFocus.
You must be talking
JFocus.
about JFocus.
Yeah.
I'm enamored by that conference. Having a
I
conference in February in Stockholm seems outrageous and outlandish, but I've come to appreciate it as one of the best
absolutely.
events of the year. I circle it on my calendar.
Yeah, I was blown away by it. I really was. Just the whole, it was about 2,000 people there. So it was a manageable size conference. It wasn't one of these mega things in Las Vegas or anything, but it wasn't small either. It was really, really manageable. But all the top people were there, and it had good themes around it, had good technology, had good events. Interesting. It was just really an interesting dynamic. And yeah, it was in February, right? Or actually end of January, right? In beginning of February. Now, where was I going to go with that? Okay, yeah. So I was doing some conversations. I was having some conversations with some of the Java engineers there, some of the engineering managers from the Oracle team in Stockholm, and we were talking about the new release model. And several people told me that they felt, because they had been involved in Java for a long, long time, they had actually felt that the pace of innovation now is actually increasing. Now, I wanted to run that actually by you because even myself, I've just been sort of, lurking on the mailing lists, and I'm just noticing lot more discussions and some more interesting projects are coming out recently. And I was just wondering if you could just, say a few words about that, if there's anything that you see as well.
Sure. It's amazing that we still refer to the 6-month release cadence as new. But I understand, right? It's been a few years. We announced it in 2017.
Wow.
But we understand how things work and how information is processed. And since Java 9, we're already approaching Java 15 this September. And so, what's so important about the release cadence is we want to deliver predictability to developers, to end users, to enterprises. We don't want them guessing when is innovation going to show up, quote unquote, on their doorstep. And for sure, in the past, we had that promise, we'll get a major release out every 2 years. Sometimes schedules would slip. It would become 3 years, if not longer. And with these multi-year distant releases, what happened was you also had a lot of new features that would then be shipped and delivered. You look back at Java 8 or Java 9, and we're talking 90, if not 100 new features. That's a lot to digest.
Right.
Even the largest enterprises in the world, approachability becomes challenging. And so what ends up happening is it takes you multiple years to migrate to such a new release. When you introduce the notion of offering releases every 6 months, what you're doing is splitting up how features are delivered. And so you're getting more frequent, more predictable releases and incremental innovation. So you're not getting hundreds of features every 6 months. You're getting, sometimes 5, sometimes 10. In the case of Java 15, we have 14 new features that are identified by JEPs. That are being delivered. So it becomes much more approachable, much more predictable. And even behind the scenes, you still get continuous performance, security updates beyond just the enhancements that are identified by JEP. So it just becomes much more easier for the end user to approach and actually start utilizing a lot of that new functionality.
It's excellent. It's excellent. And I I'm really enjoying watching it, actually, because it reminds me of my old heritage, and I just enjoy watching the discussions that are taking place. And people are on social media, which is easier for me to digest. People are reacting; they're into it. I mean, there's a lot more activity I've noticed recently, and I know, because I was taking a look at the metrics from from that initial 25th anniversary. You guys got a lot of people interested. I mean, tens of thousands of people.
It's amazing. We had almost 2,000 people watching the event online.
Live.
We've
Right.
already had several thousand replays on demand, views of that kickoff event. But that's not the only thing that's happening. So we're looking to do more online events to continue forward on this celebration. So stay tuned on that front. Best way to keep in touch and abreast of what's happening is just follow @Java on Twitter. A lot of new news will be coming out on that. A great mechanism to stay engaged, in my opinion, is read Java Magazine. It is perhaps one of the most approachable digital technology publications I've come across. And maybe I'm being a bit biased, but something that is authored by developers for developers gives it a level of credibility that I think we can all stand behind, even as readers. And the quality of the material is high caliber. The vetting process that goes into editorialized content there goes through high rigor. I've tried to submit, articles and have had many articles decline because there is a requirement and a standard that it must meet. There is a threshold it must meet, and I love that. Right? Yeah. It's not just article for article's sake. So,
well, in the scientific field, that's the peer review process, right? And
that's right.
So some of these people have PhDs, and so this is just a normal way of doing science, basically. So,
that's right.
Yeah. We should also mention before we go that there's going to be a full day of Java content at the Groundbreakers Yatra tour in India.
That's a good reminder. So in terms of momentum, it's amazing to see other programs that Oracle is participating in or helping to shepherd. That gives an opportunity to put increased aperture on Java. The Groundbreaker tour in India, which is called Yatra, is happening. There's also a Latin America Groundbreaker tour as well. That's in flight. So these specific geographies will have the opportunity to absorb more Java knowledge and content. I would fully expect more Groundbreaker tours in the future, and of course, to keep up to date on that, follow @Java. But even though we live in this abnormal world of everything online, even your local Java user groups are holding meetups digitally. So I would encourage anyone, regardless of where you are, to go and find your local Java user group to find out what's happening from a digital presence. And if something's not happening locally, for sure there are Java user groups around the world that are holding events online, which means, guess what? It is now more accessible. You don't have to, get into that aluminum tube to make the next meetup, so to speak. So I encourage that. And then, we have Java 15 coming up really fast. I think we just went through code freeze just not too long ago. We will be shipping Java 15 on September 15th. Was that planned? I don't know. But there will be more momentum and activities specific to that release, as well as we've done for Java 14 and 13 and so on. So I encourage everyone to stay connected socially, online. Take a look at @Java, read Java Magazine. If you want to keep your skills sharp, we also have courseware at Oracle University, because learning is so important. My father, early on in my childhood, kept telling me, "You know less than you know." And it was one of those, those mantras where it took me a while to understand that what he really meant was you have a chance to learn something new every day and keep your skills sharp. And so, as developers, Oracle University is a great way to keep those Java skills sharp for you as well. So, I mean, there's a myriad of programs. I mean, we could spend hours talking about just all of the things, whether it's from Oracle or in the ecosystem that developers can embrace to stay connected or continue their learning or understand how to innovate. But, I look forward to all of it. And it's encouraging to see so many new faces as well.
Yeah, the community is thriving, and I mean, 25 years is like it's old and stuff. No, there's a lot of young people there, and you can see it at the conferences. You can see it on the conference calls. Yeah, the old people are still
there's still space for some of us that have some white in there, but
no hair.
Or no hair. But you're right. Before the world sort of took this pause in terms of face-to-face connections, so many of the conferences that either you've been to or I've been to, or maybe the people watching have been to, I'm sure they've noticed that the demographics are changing. There's new people coming, that may not have multiple years of history with Java that are understanding the value of what Java can really offer them, both in terms of a career, but also as a technology with innovation.
Yeah. That's what I've noticed recently, and I've noticed it here in Japan. Before all this, when I actually go into events, I absolutely notice there's a lot of young Japanese developers. Java's huge in Japan. So, all right, Shar, let's call that a night. All right.
Sure.
It's really great to catch up with you, and maybe we can do this every few months, just kind of catch up on what's going on in the community and on the project.
I would look forward to any opportunity to, one, talk with you, Jim, two, to talk about Java, but to continue in this role, as I call it, helping the community succeed. And I'm happy to be their Sherpa and carry the backpack so they can get to that summit.
Cool. Thanks, Shar. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.